Have you ever heard that dogs see in black and white? In this episode of Good Dog Life, we're going to take a deep dive into what is true and what isn't when it comes to your dog's vision. Hi, I'm a veterinarian, and this is my channel. If you want to learn more about dogs and other animals, hit that subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I post new videos. Dogs do have the ability to see color, but they don't see nearly as many colors as we do. There are several theories as to why dogs don't see as many colors as humans, which I'll share with you in just a minute. But first, let's talk about how we know what dogs can see. For most of history, people assumed that dogs couldn't see color at all, that their vision was black and white only. And for a long time, this assumption even trickled down into the veterinary community. But over the past few decades, researchers began studying animal vision by performing tests similar to those used for human color blindness. One such test uses a color discrimination plate like this one here. The plates have been developed to differentiate between the ability of an animal's eyes to detect certain wavelengths of light. Depending on the results, we can determine what colors they can and cannot see. In the Ishihara test used for humans, each plate has numbers embedded in a pattern of colored dots. People who take the test can easily pick out the numbers in the colored patterns, while those who are colorblind say "ent." Researchers use these types of tests, along with electroretinography, or ERG, to determine how well dogs can see color. An ERG measures the electrical activity in the retina in response to flashes of different colored lights. Using these and other tests, researchers concluded that dogs do see some colors, but not nearly as many as us humans. There are three primary colors of light, blue, red, and green. We also perceive shades of these colors, like light blue, navy blue, reddish-orange, and yellow, for example. This happens because we have three types of color receptors called cones in our eyes. Cones are photoreceptor cells that react to light waves of different colors. We inherit 2 cone types from our mother and 2 from our father. This gives us 6 different combinations of cones, allowing us to see many more colors than animals with fewer cone types. Rods are another type of photoreceptor cell responsible for vision in dim light. Rods don't allow us to see color, but they do allow us to see shapes and movement. Both rods and cones contain pigments that absorb light waves and send signals to the brain. When the pigment molecules absorb light, they change shape. This triggers a cascade of reactions that converts the energy of light into an electrical signal that gets sent through the optic nerve to the brain, where it's interpreted as color. Most mammals, including dogs, only have 2 cone types, which means they can see 2 primary colors, like blue and yellow, for example. Some dogs may have a 3rd cone type, giving them the ability to see a 3rd color, like green. But others may be missing a cone type, leaving them with a dichromatic vision similar to red-green color blindness in humans. However, there's some debate as to whether dogs actually see green, since the pigment they have might actually respond to both green and yellow light. But there's something else to consider. Just because a dog has the genetics for a certain color receptor doesn't mean that the receptor is fully functional. For example, one study found that although many dogs have the gene for a blue cone, some breeds like Dalmatians have a non-functional version of the gene. So they essentially have 2 cones, but they can only see yellow. It's believed that the loss of the blue cone occurred independently multiple times throughout dog history. Now, why do you think that is? Well, we don't know for sure, but researchers theorize that it may have something to do with domestication. You see, it's thought that the ancestors of modern dogs, gray wolves, have 3 cones and can see blue. Scientists speculate that early humans selectively bred dogs for certain traits like friendliness and trainability. They also likely selected for certain physical traits like size, but they probably didn't put much thought into vision. The problem with this is that during domestication, recessive genes like the one for a non-functional blue cone could have become more prevalent, especially if larger litters were favored because bigger litters meant more puppies to help with herding or guarding. Wolves typically have smaller litters than domesticated dogs. So it's hypothesized that as humans continued breeding dogs with larger litter sizes, the frequency of the non-functional blue cone increased in the gene pool. It's also possible that without the ability to see blue, dogs became less afraid of the ocean. Wolves tend to avoid water, but dogs often enjoy swimming. So seeing less blue in the sky and water may have made dogs more willing to explore these areas. However, there's no definitive evidence to support any of these hypotheses. So we don't really know why dogs don't see blue. So now you know that dogs can see some colors. But what about shades of color? As mentioned earlier, we can see shades of colors because we have 3 cone types, which allow us to see 3 primary colors, blue, red, and green, and then varying combinations of those colors. Dogs only have 2 cone types, so they aren't able to see shades of colors the way that we do. So if you have a yellow ball, your dog sees it as a shade of yellow or another primary color that they can see, like blue or green. A blue ball to your dog may look like a shade of green. And what about a red ball? Since dogs can't see red, it will appear black to them. To prove this point, researchers did a study where they asked owners to throw a ball across a room and then recall their dogs using a hand signal. The owners threw the ball twice, once with a yellow tennis ball and once with a green tennis ball. Even though the room had bright overhead lighting, which would have made both balls look yellow, the dogs responded to the commands when the yellow ball was thrown, but not when the green ball was thrown. This suggests that the dogs saw the green ball as black. But wait, there's more. Another study provided evidence that dogs see red as gray. In this experiment, researchers asked owners to place food in one of 4 bowls, 1 red bowl and 3 gray bowls. Then they instructed the owners to remove one of the gray bowls and replace it with a new one. The dogs were trained to go to the new gray bowl for a treat. But every time they went to the red bowl, they got nothing. After training, the dogs successfully located the new gray bowl, but they also visited the red bowl frequently, suggesting that they couldn't distinguish red from gray. Based on these studies, we know that dogs can see blue, yellow, and some see green, but they don't see red. They also can't see shades of colors, so yellows, oranges, and reds appear to them as shades of yellow, which explains why some dogs get excited when you bring home a pumpkin or a banana. And they also can't see shades of gray. Gray and black appear to dogs as dark blue. Knowing this, it's best to use toys that are very bright blue, very bright green, or very bright yellow if you want your dog to easily be able to see them. Also, when playing fetch, try to avoid wearing clothes that are shades of red, orange, or yellow, especially if they're bright. That's because dogs see these colors as very bright. So if you're wearing a bright yellow shirt, for example, your dog may be dazzled by the brightness and have trouble seeing the ball. It's also important to remember that older dogs may have difficulty seeing in general. Cataracts and other age-related changes can affect their vision. So just like with puppies, it's best to use a brightly colored toy when playing with senior dogs. If you enjoyed this video, check out my video on why do dogs eat grass. Leave a comment below and tell me what you find most interesting about dogs. Share this video with your friends and hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an awesome episode.